Welcome back to the show, all. And like my usual, having an uncanny guest with a wonderful, laid back resume of skills, talents, and interviews. We got podcast host, martial artist, and tattoo artist Keith Tattness McCleary. How are you, buddy?
How's it going, brother?
Well, aiming for the sky. Not aiming down.
Oh my God. Yeah, I hear you, man. It's crazy times in the movie industry and everything. And
we can or can't do this.
God dang. Yeah, I don't know, man.
So, I was just looking forward to this because I just love just visiting just diverse people and others who don't even realize how talented they are at times. Just people who have gone around, put in the time, and found a connection with their world, let alone have found so much satisfaction with what they're doing now. So you're no exception, but I'm sure you've got plenty of struggles and skills and talents, and we'll get to it. But more importantly, you've been everywhere, just going from podcasts to online radio, and just collaborated with so many different people, including effects and makeup artists, Mick Strawn, and other Ontario talents. But where did it all begin?
Oh my God, dude. Yeah, Mick, I love him, by the way. That's a brother to me. Mick's the coolest fucking guy. So for me, yeah, it was kind of like, in college, just before college, I owned a bar in Ontario, Canada. Business partners were not great, and it wasn't worth the headaches that it was, so I decided to go for the military and did the training, did all that. And then there was like a 3-year wait list. So I was like, well, I got to do something in the meantime. And I thought, well, I've been training and training and training. I don't want it to be for nothing. I'm not going to sit behind a desk. I was like, what about MMA? Like, how cool would that be? So I walked into a gym one day in my hometown that ended up being owned by a former MMA fighter and pro wrestler that worked for WWE. And he owned and operated the gym. I walked in, it was an MMA gym, fell in love with the place. And then from there it became the show and then movies and everything else. So it's been nuts.
Man, look at you go. When did you decide to take a visit to Georgian College?
Oh my God.
In Barrie, Ontario.
Yeah. You know your stuff.
Like I said, I didn't want to give a shabby interview.
Yeah, man. I went to because I got cousins and whatnot out there. I'm from Toronto, so like Barrie was like an hour and 20 minutes away. And
it catches up.
Yeah.
It catches up.
Right. So I decided to move out there and go to college. And it was like the time of my life because I spent more time in the gym and the bar than I did in class. But
so that was slowly after you made those connections. It pretty much goes in order: military, discharge, then MMA, then, well, I guess I need some connections. College.
College was one of those things. I was going for business accounting, and I realized like that's not. I know how to do it, but doesn't mean I enjoy it. I'm more of a physical person, right? So I went from college to MMA and try to make that make sense. Go to college to crunch numbers, and instead you end up getting punched in the face for a living. It's kind of a joke.
Hey, man, still love what you do. So
absolutely. And then it opened so many doors to do movies and things after that, and getting to know so many awesome people. Like you mentioned, Mick Strawn, who him and Nick Benson are friends of mine, and I grew up watching their work, and now we're working together on a project. So it's kind of
there you go.
Small world,
meta.
Right? It's just kind of crazy when you stop and think about it, because it's such a small world, full circle kind of feeling. You grew up watching all their work. Never thought in a million years like you're going to know the people that were behind it one day and end up working with them. And them respecting your work. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, that can be really meta too. Where you're like, I'll never measure up to them, or don't meet your heroes. They're gonna be an asshole. It's like, no,
Right.
pretty cool, pretty chill. Um, so do you have any other mentors or managers that helped you get some of the various acting gigs? Because you did a Splash Damage radio voice ad, then you got interviewed by Dr. Moby on Lifestyle TV, and then you came out with your book in 2015, Anti-Socially Awkward.
You know your stuff, Jesus. My God. Yeah, that's going back a bit. Yeah, honestly, all the things you just mentioned that happened were so random. Dr. Moby approached me and was like, would you do my show? And I'm like, yeah, don't even know how he knew who I was or whatever. I didn't know if he was following my career. You know what I mean? And then
too good to be true.
Yeah, I mean, movie wise, even just like I was a guest on a show, and the hosts were like, "Dude, you're 6'5", 265 typically of muscle. Why are you not the next Myers or Voorhees in a horror movie? Like, why are you not? Why are you not in movies? Like, there's something about you, dude, that you have this it factor. Why are you not doing movies?" And I'm like, because nobody asked. Like,
right.
No one just comes up to you on a regular basis like, hey, you want to do a movie? Like, so they're like, so are you suggesting that if the offer was there, you'd be interested? And I was like, yeah, what the hell? Why not? So they're like, well, we're producers. We'll talk off there. And I was like, oh, damn. So then by the time I got off that live show, I had on Facebook like so many messages from directors, producers, casting directors, and whatever. And hey, heard you're interested in doing movies and whatever. And I'm like, what the hell, dude? That literally just happened, so it just takes off really quick like that.
That's lovely. Now keep in mind, I can't find this book anywhere. Is it out of print or only?
Yeah, it's out of print. It kind of went nuts, and then it sat for years, and then eventually, as with everything, it just kind of on to the next, right? The new shit. So it makes room.
You ever thought of remastering it? Maybe putting it on your website or something?
I've been asked so many times to do that, and I'm like, yeah, I might. But I don't know. Sometimes I wonder how it would hold up today with the way sensitivity seems to be on a pretty high level these days.
I think it'd be a little too blunt.
Yeah. I guess people are used to my nonsense too. So
it's not nonsense, it's just honesty.
Yeah, just being salty and bitching about things for people's entertainment. And it turned out that people thought it was funny. Nobody was offended by it at the time.
Huh?
So maybe it'll still
just maybe add a few chapters and then director's cut.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Might be necessary.
So, altogether, what gets you up in the morning? Makes you just say, I'm going to conquer the day.
Oh my God. Spite.
Spite. Okay.
There's so many people, I think, that just want to see you fail. That I think that's what does it for me.
You're not going to give them the satisfaction.
No, not at all, man. I'm spiteful as hell like that. I mean, I got to where I'm at because I was told my whole life I'd never be shit. So I'm like, okay, now I'm going to do this and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do this and whatever interested me, I end up doing. And I feel like that's just out of sheer spite.
Mm-hmm. And when did the journey into tattoos start? Or was that always kind of something you were privy to?
Oh, man. I was always like a huge art guy. And I think 09-ish.
Some people are great with it.
Yeah, I got into it back then.
And then you see others and you're like, holy fuck, dude, what'd you do? It's just like a bad Botox. It's like, oh, yeah, whoever did that. They look in the mirror sometime.
Yeah. I was getting a sleeve done. And my artist that was working on my sleeve actually had mentioned to me, if you're interested in doing this because you love art so much, I'll run you through it. I'll give you the breakdown on how to do it and whatever. So we went out. who I was dating at the time and my artist and his assistant wanted to go out for dinner and kind of discuss like, all the ins and outs of tattooing. I had my equipment. So they said, start by taking it apart and putting it back together because it's so night and day difference from like drawing. Man. You don't even have to have an artistic background to be a good tattoo artist as long as you're a good mechanic, the machine. That's what it comes down to, is knowing the machine more so than being artistic. So
wow, look at them go. Not so hard now.
It's tough though. Like, yeah, it is a learning process. My son actually wanted to learn, so I sent him my equipment so he can practice. And I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Right. Did you have a pretty healthy family life, or was it pretty much on my own?
No.
No. You talked about a bit of it before, but I didn't know how much of it was just melodrama versus I want nothing to do with them.
Yeah, no, it was as healthy as a house fire. It's just not good for anything.
Sorry.
It's all good, man. That's common knowledge, though. Like a lot of people, like there's a whole documentary done about my life. So, but I met my mom like 2 years ago for the first time. So turns out she's awesome. So there's that. So that's the sunny side of life, right?
There you go. How did you get a bunch of different connections? Just guests willing to be on your show, various drummers, various actors, various fashion gals?
Yeah, it's a mixed bag of being friends with a lot of these people from being in the industry. But then a lot of them I became friends with because they did my show. And just talking to the right people, like I said, as a guest on that show, those guys were producers of movies, but they also were PR guys. Mm-hmm. So a lot of these people were their clients that I ended up becoming friends with. So,
all runs together.
Yeah. So, I mean, small world, right? You never know who you're going to end up talking to. And, when people ask you to be on their show, you never know what else they have going on. So it's pretty cool.
Right. So looks like your website's down at the moment. Are you going to relaunch that shortly?
Yeah. Yeah. There's so much going on. I do want to revamp it. There's so much more stuff going on that I want to keep under one umbrella. Gotcha. So
maybe a link tree or something.
Be a thing. Yeah, a little more organized, I think, than it once was. I had different people running it at the time. That's now changed. So it's time for bigger and better,
Right. So who've been some of your favorite guests? You've had all kinds of people. You had you were asked to be on the Talk Black to Me, and you've had some various takes on different states, Spotify being an asshole, and just even teasing what you'll talk about in future seasons. So what was really just strengthened your heart, just made you say, this is the right kind of venting. This is the right kind of talk show. I'm in a good place.
Oh yeah. Guest wise, man. Oh my God. I think some of the best I've had, for me, a big one was when I had Johnny Brennan on. For those that don't know, back in the 90s, there's the Jerky Boys. Funniest phone calls you'll ever hear.
Yeah.
But more recently, he does the voice of Mort Goldman on Family Guy.
Oh, wow.
So I used to, my buddy had the Jerky Boy CD and he would tape it for me back in the 90s. And I'd go home and I'd listen to this and just die laughing.
That's great.
Fast forward a bunch of years.
What channel were they on again? Was it Showtime or Comedy Central? Or?
Yeah, he's done so much stuff, right? And then to have him on, and he gave me like 2 hours of his time. That was super cool.
Yeah,
I'm always grateful for that. Mick Strawn, of course, everybody knows that's one of my favorite guests ever. Him and I are brothers. Like, he's a big brother
for life.
Yeah, he calls me on Christmas, man. Like, what more do you want?
Great.
You know what I mean? Nick Benson. And like I said, we're all working on a movie together at the moment. Sorry about the traffic. I'm outside.
Oh, it's all good. I can't hear it.
Oh, dang. Yeah, Nick Benson's another one. Dag Ferris was really cool. Good friend. having him on was cool. I know as much hate as the Rob Zombie Halloween remake gets, Dig did a killer job, man. That was a creepy ass little kid.
Hey, you know, you got to be proud of all your work, even regardless of whether it's not a critical darling or, you know, if you had.
Yeah, man.
Go ahead.
No, it was just, yeah, it's, you know, I agree completely. Like, it was a good movie. Some people didn't like it, whatever, but Dig did a killer job. Man, there's so many. I mean, getting to hear Leland Sklar say, dude, I wish my book wasn't just finished and heading off to the publisher because I wanted you in it after meeting you. Like, he did my show. He's a bass player for Phil Collins and a bunch of other bands. Like, dude's been around forever. He's got stories for a lifetime. You know,
more than any of us will ever do.
Yeah, so picking a favorite guest is really tough. There's several, I think, that I mean, anyone knows Mick. I get Mick on the show. We just bust each other's chops as much as possible. It's just our relationship. Nick Benson just laughs about it. He doesn't really get in on it. He'll bust Mick's chops a little bit, but Mick talks more than anybody, so Nick never gets to say anything.
That'd be great. But I'm glad that, again, these are just memories you're always going to have, and you're just growing as an interviewer too.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's more or less for me, it's just having a conversation with my friends, you know what I mean? But it's gotten to a point where the first year of the show, I did over 100 shows that year. I was doing 4 shows a day, over an hour long, having guests on, you know, 4 a day, making time for everybody. So it was like you'd go from like Phil Collins, bass player, to Kid Rock's guitarist, to Stephen Perkins that played for Jane's Addiction and Nine Inch Nails. And,
yes.
You know what I'm saying? It to try to
talk about diverse, man.
Yeah. So to try to like absorb all that in one day, you don't have time to even consider how cool it is that you get to talk to these people. You're trying to meet deadlines so much. So it all just kind of, you know, becomes a blur.
To the point where you're just like, yeah, that happened.
Yeah, and I look back and I'm like, oh shit, that's right. I did have that person on my show. Like, I totally forgot because I had so many at once. It gets crazy.
So altogether, I mean, what events do you have upcoming, and are you looking forward to it? Because now you're seeing you would approach it the same way you would 5 years ago. You're still growing.
Oh my God. Yeah, I've been doing this like 8 years now and nothing surprises me anymore, but still I appreciate everything. So I think for me, working with Mick Strawn and Nick Benson is like one of the coolest things to look forward to. I think I got a lot more I've toned things down a bit so I can enjoy my personal life a bit more, spend time with the wife, you
it's
know.
ideal. You need it.
Yeah, man, and do cool shit. So like we just went Friday, we went to see SmackDown because it was out here in Calgary, and I was like, that's cool. I never went, never, you know,
never had interest, but now you do.
Like the guy that you know is responsible for my career worked for that company, and I haven't gone to see a live event yet. Come on, man. You know, like, let's fix that. We're going to the 50 Cent concert in September out here, which is
interesting.
dope. Stuff like
has
that.
He had some good concert turnouts? I've never seen him live. I liked his music. I didn't know he was still doing that. I thought he gave it up for acting.
This is his last tour. He's retiring from music to do more like directing and producing. So like, wow, shit, let's go, you know. And so balancing out, like I got a lot of professional stuff that I'm looking forward to doing, but I'm kind of enjoying the personal life stuff now too, where I didn't have much of a life outside of work in my career, right? So,
right. Now you do. Altogether, what podcast platforms do you recommend for others getting into this? the most.
Man, yeah, that's a good one. There's so many that are picky, like
Yep.
Amazon's picky, Apple's picky. Like they listen to the sound quality and then they decide if they want to
All
give you
about
a
it.
platform. Yeah,
This is
yeah.
not a good use of our quality, our brand.
Yeah, and
They
it's
do that with
pretty
movies
wild.
too. Now they took it away because they're like, we got so many people seeing the shitty movies. Done. Done. And I can't blame them because I would see stuff on there, even stuff I had seen locally here in Dallas, Texas, and it was like, nope, nope, nope. I'll leave a review, but you will not like it. Nope.
Yeah, they can't all be fucking winners, can they? But
No.
no, I've seen some things too where I was just like, no, just looking at the name, I'm like, no, I'm good. There's something about them. So I know you're talking about the platform. It's not selective in that regard.
No. It's more like reject or a courteous, duly noted, just we'll see you around, buddy. Come back when you got something. And I get it. Some people are afraid of hurting people's feelings, and then there's other moments where it's like, I don't know.
Yeah, that's the problem. Is there's so much like D-list stuff out there that people threw together with like $10 and a couple of friends, right?
Mm-hmm. It would get
And
very,
then
very annoying because you're like, there's some talent here, and you were probably the best part was the cover, which is not
exactly
not high, not
I
high
mean,
praise. No.
there's a rule in acting, man. Everyone's gonna do some bad movies. Just don't be the bad actor in it. You know what I'm saying? You can have good actors do bad movies. That's life. It's gonna happen. The script could be amazing, but if the execution's poor, as long as you're doing your part as best you can, that's pretty much the important thing, right? So, I don't know what's the weirdest, like, what's maybe the worst movie you've ever seen? I'm curious. I always wonder. I've seen some
Varies.
terrible things.
I mainly is just movies that didn't live up to the hype, that had just nothing but okay acting, but pretentious, predictable stories, and nothing but just
Yeah.
walking around with gorgeously shot scenery. I saw Midsummer, and I will still say that is the worst movie of the entire decade. Just inconsistent in tone. Doesn't know if it wants to be an exploitation movie, an artsy torture movie, or just stupid grindhouse movie. And I'm just like, well, I saw the extended cut, so you cannot tell me I did not give this the extra time that it merited. It wasted my time. I haven't cared for a lot of Christopher Nolan's recent movies, so yeah, fuck Tenet. You guys can praise all his war movies, but Tenet, that is like the most anticlimactic Twilight Zone episode I think I've seen.
Wow.
It's hot takes galore, but mainly, but most of the stuff on the bottom 100, I'm pretty much in agreement with, just because they're either really bad toy commercials or reality stars trying to act and failing to do so, or just trashy sci-fi movies that you need a beer for and a bunch of Mystery Science Theater pals. But yeah, I mean, we all have stuff that just kind of just torques us off and just makes us go, but I can't get that time and money back. So I mean, I really do. If I think I'm not going to like it, I do wait for HBO and Showtime, and we'll just say, okay, I'm going to record this and watch it at 2 a.m. and kill it after 20 minutes. If it's,
that's the way to do it.
or fast forward to the stuff that people have told me to look at, but otherwise, it's a drag. And, I know instantly if I'm not going to hang with it or not. And I can tell you instantly, it's only helped me enforce why I like what I like, why I don't like what I dislike, and empower me. I think anyone can. They just got to say, hey, do I want to be constructive? Do I want to give you a paragraph?
Right. Yeah, I'm the same way. I pretty much know at the gate if I'm going to hate something. And it's funny. People think it's hilarious that I'll do horror movies, but I'm not a fan of like extreme gore. Like
I'm the
that torture
same.
porn.
Yeah, torture porn. It was kind of like Fast and Furious with action, where it's like, okay, if this is what the future of the franchise is, count me out. Like the genre needs to be very enforced. So yeah, sorry, that disgraced that whole saga. But if you got psychological, monkey's paw, or just some other kind of just creative slasher or psychological, fantasy, I'm down. But
yeah,
I think people don't even know what the genres mean half the time. You'll see people who are like, "Why was that action?" I'm like, "Because it's exciting boxing, yada yada." Oh, I don't count sports as action. I'm like, "Well, too bad." And then you see other people, same thing with horror. They're like, "Oh, it wasn't scary." I'm like, "Well, it only got that because of the gothic setting, because there's a giant monster. That it's not going to be exact to your parameters every time."
Exactly, right, and that's just it. Movies can range. Some of them fail miserably. Some of them need to decide to pick a lane and stay in them. But yeah, to your point, like I'm the same way. Like I can't do the overly gory shit, so it's a little bit
just
hilarious.
Nothing but just bloodshed, and you're just like bored after the fifth, brutal, murder.
Right. If it's campy or whatever, I'm here for it, as if it looks fake enough.
There's that too, or you'll just hear just the most dumbest dialogue, and everyone's like, "Oh, why are you laughing?" I'm like, "Did you hear what they're saying?"
Right.
It's either trying to be deliberately bad or just, I don't know.
I think it's funny that I'm not a huge. It's well documented. I'm not huge on like torture porn and excessive gore. So my first movie, of course, was created by a guy who holds a Guinness World Record for most kills in a horror movie, and it's graphic shit because he's also a graphic, effects artist.
Yes.
Does a lot of the practical stuff. He's friends with Mick Strawn as well. Mick taught him a couple things here and there, but Joe Castro, he did. This is the other funny thing. His first movie I do, Joe Castro is the creator. He worked on the Harry Potter movies.
Lovely.
And my first show, I go in hard and double down on my disdain for Harry Potter movies because no interest whatsoever. So I think I went as far as to say
I'm with you.
trash.
Great effects, but maybe the first three are watchable, but everything else, bleh, just stop.
He literally worked on them, and I'm sitting here publicly saying that they're trash. And then I'm like, oh, I'm dumb. I'm like, hey man, so you're gonna hear some shit? He's like, I already know. He's like, it's fine, dude. Dig what you dig. Like, it's not for you, that's cool.
Yeah, I will still see some of that gatekeeping. I've had to do that with my sister, where, even before, rest in peace, William Friedkin passed away, she'd see some of these different snobby arguments Scorsese or Oliver Stone had, and I'm like, and Jane Campion at the piano, and You're the Dog doesn't like superheroes. I'm like, and the same deal is like, and then Denis Villeneuve of Sicario, Blade Runner, and Dune fame was on the record saying he hated that and got in an argument with Neil Blomkamp of District 9 and Gran Turismo fame, and he loves them, the latter does, and I was like, and that's fine. They're neither wrong nor right. It's their opinion. Right. I love all those guys who you've just mentioned. They will do more than any of these superhero hacks. So tell me, what is the point? Why do they hate them? I don't care. That they're old school, old timer 70s guys. They were bound to not like stuff from the new generation. And that's fine. They've done masterpieces. They've done cult movies. They've done more than any of us will do in this lifetime. If Spielberg was making a cynical remark one day, I would not care. I'd be like, great body of work. Don't care.
Right. And that's just it, right? Like,
I don't care that they don't like superhero movies because A, I don't care for half of these superhero movies, and B, they are entitled to their opinion.
Right. That's just it. Where, I'm opinionated as hell. Everybody knows that.
You gotta be. That's your formula.
Yeah. But for me, at the same time, I'm also aware that just because I dislike something doesn't mean it's not successful. There's a ton of people, obviously, that paid good money to make this multi-bajillion-dollar franchise. Like,
people are warming up now that they know that there's a lot of corporate media and anyone can take a bribe. Wait a second. Why you like this Fast and Furious movie? You hated the last 6.
You know, but I get that something that may not be for me doesn't mean it sucks. Like,
there's that too. Yeah. And I'll flat out say, hey guys, I am not the audience for this. I don't know why. It's not cutting the mustard.
Yeah. Not my, like,
this is no mistaking. This is a good movie or TV show, but I'm not the audience for it. So I'm going to just text on my phone until we get to the end point. And then I'm going to watch a show that has made my top 10 TV shows of the year.
Exactly. Right. So just because something's not necessarily for me doesn't mean that it's not good. It's not successful. I get that. So some people need to calm down when you say,
I really do.
You really dislike something.
Why do you hate it?
How dare you?
Because I don't like it. Fuck
right? I mean, thankfully, I haven't had anyone yet be like, well, you don't like my favorite movie, so now I don't like any movies you do.
Oh, my Lord.
Stupid like that.
It's not a personal thing. God.
You know what I'm saying? But I can imagine somebody feeling that way. I haven't gotten that hate mail yet, thankfully, but I can see someone doing that. People get way personal about this kind of thing.
This is it too. They take it so personally to where it's just like, it is never meant to be personal.
Right? But they're like, I liked you. And then you went and said that.
And then that's where I say, well, you can either choose to be a friend or you can act your age. Or you can buzz off, since clearly you're still... And that's the other thing too. I'll see so many people say, I'm a nice person, nice this, and then they'll say something else like, oh, you're in your parents' basement. I'm like, whoa, okay, motor mouth. I thought you said you were going to lead by example and be a nice guy. Well, that's not so nice. It's pretty shabby and shitty, actually.
Doesn't last long, does it?
Yeah, just filter everyone out. You'll know instantly whether they're going to be a trooper or not.
No, absolutely. Yeah, I've been known to have my fair share of industry fucking beefs with people because they weren't the nicest of people, and I don't play that shit.
Right. Do you have some hysterical fighting stories?
Yeah, Pink's drummer was the big one that we had this thing.
Love
for
Pink,
like
but
a
I
year.
have heard some of her people she was having to get in arguments with, saying, no, that's not what I want to do. What the hell, guys?
It was a whole goddamn thing, man. It was this thing where I think my producer at the time misspelled his last name by a letter, and it was early in the morning, and
gonna happen.
No harm intended.
Yeah,
but he went off and just got disrespectful.
You know who I am? No, I don't know.
Yeah, that was exactly the gist of it. Sorry, Mark. We're cool now. But that's how he came across. And I was not going to have someone that works for me disrespected like that. So I stepped in and, I was pretty professional about it, but he was still being kind of like on his high horse about it. So then I was like, you know what? Nah, I'm not the one, man. So we had a year-long thing. But then it turned out, before people get too like on the poor guy, he was going through like a cancer scare that I had no knowledge of. It wasn't known yet. He reached out after to let me know his behavior was because he was going through that. And I'm like, hey man, none of that matters anymore. Like, your health is the top priority.
Right.
None of this other crap is important. And we've been cool since. So, but that was probably
that's freaky.
The most interesting one.
Damn. And do you have any other upcoming things? And do you have a good producing staff now?
Yeah, man. Working on movies with, like I said, Mick Strawn, Nick Benson. I've got an autobiography coming out that I've been working on since the beginning or so, or like middle of last year. So there's that. Writing is boring sometimes, not gonna lie. reading it back, you're like, how is this so boring to type this? Because
got to go from boring just to get to exciting.
Apparently, right? So yeah, there's a few of those things that, and then the relaunch of the show, doing what I call Inferno Jeopardy. So gonna get some of the hottest wing sauces out there and get them from hot ones themselves. And the idea of the game is the harder the question, the worse the consequence for getting it wrong.
We'll return after these messages.
The Jacked Up Review Show podcast is honored to be part of the Blind Knowledge Podcast Network. Join anytime, talk the talk, and enjoy yourselves. There's something enlightening for everyone with this crowd of cool cats. Check them out.
Hey, it's Brent Pope, the host of Breakfast with Brent Pope. You've seen me on some of your favorite TV shows saying things like, "Give it up, Jimmy. You got to sink this putt to win." On Breakfast with Brent Pope, I sit down with guests from the entertainment world, and we do it all over breakfast. Or should I say Brentfast? Every week on Brentfast, you get inside Hollywood info and tips, great breakfast recs and booty debates. Most of all, you get the most delightful 30 minutes of your week. So dig in. It's Brentfast time. Listen at Brentfast.com, Apple Podcasts, or wherever fine podcasts are found.
Do you ever find yourself thinking about who would win in a fight between Goku and Superman? Hi, I'm James Gavsey, and on the Who Would Win show, me and my co-host Ray ignore anything important happening in the outside world and debate fictional battles between characters from comics, movies, and video games.
We got a new show every week, and almost always am I the winner.
Yeah, not true, Ray.
In the past, we've discussed such matches as Captain America versus Darth Vader, Solid Snake versus the Iron Giant, classic matchups like RoboCop versus Terminator, and even the Muppets versus Sesame Street.
That one was crazy. So if you're a fan of geek culture and love a spirited debate, check out the Who Would Win show wherever you get your podcasts, or check us out at whowouldwinshow.com.
So the harder the question, the hotter the sauce, basically. If you get it wrong, you gotta eat a wing.
Saucy, baby.
Yeah, you gotta eat a wing with extremely hot sauce to punish yourself for getting the answer wrong. And I'm bringing celebrity friends on to do this. I'm gonna see if I can.
It's like Hot Ones, kind of, but
yeah. So I'm gonna see if I can convince Mick Strawn to accept my challenge. I'm doing it too, man. I'm eating this crap with them.
You're being a total director. You're just like, hey, if I'm putting you for the ring, I got to do it too.
Yeah, I won't know the questions. I won't know anything.
Make it even more real.
Oh yeah, for sure. I won't know the questions. Therefore, it's perfectly fair. I just ate a damn wing that first I had to sign a waiver to eat these 10 wings that they're that hot. You got to sign a waiver. And then after, if you complete those, which I did, they were delicious. There's a wing that's so hot you're only allowed to order one. And so I did. But you can only order one, and you have to actually eat a full order of the waiver wings first. So I ate this damn wing. It was no joke. Turns out it was 6 million Scoville. Hot ones, the last dab is literally 2 million. This was 3 times hotter than that. And I ate the whole damn wing. And I was like, an animal died for this. I'm eating the whole thing. You know what I'm saying? But it was no joke.
Honor them. Yeah.
Right. But I did it. So I look forward to this challenge because we're not going to have anything near 6 million Scoville. That's just punishment.
Yeah, it'd be too much.
But, to have something still reasonably hot and have a bunch of celebrities that may not be able to handle it.
Can't handle the truth.
It'd be good times.
Yeah, it would definitely be a hell of a time.
I gotta commend you, man. You've done your homework. You know more than most people when they have me on their show. You know a hell of a lot more about my work and my history than most people do. So
it's amazing. You'll see people who's like, I was seeing some of that before. It's like, okay, you just saw the first 5 banners in the feed. You didn't actually listen. And I like how you're doing a recap and best of the year. That's when I know that a podcaster is happy with themselves, proud of their work, and gonna keep going.
It was something where it was like, dude, it's what, 4 years now or so, going on 4 years of the show. So I was like, there's some insane things, weird conversations that have taken place. I'm an idiot, so come up with some conversations that people are like, what? So I figured, let's make a compilation of those shows, the weirdest parts of those shows, put them all together, and people would listen to it, just be like, what in the hell?
Yeah, where did that come from?
You gotta have a sense of humor these days, man.
There's a lot who don't, or they take themselves too seriously.
Yeah, I just thought it was funny the way the show started out that way, where I didn't take it seriously because I didn't really think after my MMA career,
you can do it in your sleep.
Who's even listening to this, right? And then it turned out I had like millions of downloaders immediately. I'm like, oh shit, people are listening. Okay, now I got to take this seriously and actually do something with it. So then I got interesting guests and
took it overnight.
Yeah,
Very nice, very nice. All together, what are some other stuff that's upcoming or events you'll be attending that everyone should check out?
I'm hoping to end up at a few horror cons out your way this year or next. It's been a minute. I was supposed to be at one, and then COVID happened, and I actually ended up getting this. So I was like, yeah, I can't travel now. I got fucking COVID, man. Like,
fucking sucks.
Yeah, it was kind of a weird feeling where like my throat was a bit sore and I was lightheaded a lot of times.
My father and sister both got it. The irony is my father got it from going to a health conference. I saw too many people, and my sister she kept taking her mask off on the plane, and I don't know, she's always been prone to more sickness, and me and my mother have not gotten it. If we did, maybe we felt a little off, I guess, maybe in 2019, but that was it. Like we have no documented moments where it's like, yeah, that happened.
Yeah, it wasn't until I moved to this province that I got it. So
yeah,
I was dating someone at the time that gave it to me. So that's
loves a bitch sometimes.
Yeah, I'm like, well, if you tested positive, I know I have it. So it is what it is. But
yeah,
it wasn't too terrible, thankfully.
Yeah, makes a difference. But still annoying to go through.
I'll give you a free one, man. Funny story during that time. I thought having the mask on make you less recognizable. I went to a grocery store. Full disclosure. I was going to this grocery store. I just got here like 2 weeks prior. Everyone knows I'm originally from Toronto. I went to a different province. I came out to Alberta. I ended up in Edmonton. And I go to this grocery store and I got the mask on, the whole thing, because that was kind of what was required at the time. Yeah. So I'm like, they're not going to recognize me. I forget I have tattoos that are very distinct. Like my height is kind of a dead giveaway. My size is usually a dead giveaway. And I'm like, I got them all fooled. No one's going to know who the hell I am. And full disclosure, I smoked a joint, so I was higher than pterodactyl tits. And start trying to go in the door that says out, so it's not going to open, obviously. And outside is this person, her and her partner, like work partner there, were doing this charity thing. So she turns around, she's like, wrong door. And I'm like, oh yeah. And she laughed because immediately she knew who the hell I was. That's why she was paying attention to the fact that I was not even trying to go in the right door. And I'm like, okay, maybe it was nothing. Later that night, first thing I see on Google is that I was spotted out here at a grocery store with some unidentified blonde chick who I was dating at the time. They literally said unidentified blonde woman.
Man,
like, are you kidding me?
It's a small world in Ontario.
This is not even Ontario. This is Alberta, man.
Alberta. Oh shit. Okay. Sorry.
Like,
that's right. You did say you moved. Okay.
Yeah. So it's like, that's, wild that who the hell cares for starters? Because like, is he dating her? Or are they just friends? Who is that? Like, y'all care that much, huh? You know, like, it's so weird. And then Google, you'll see stuff like people also search for, and then I'll put like my name and then his wife, pictures of his wife, kids, and the whole thing. It's so weird, dude.
So cray, man. If you were to be interviewed by TMZ, what was the first thing you'd say? Can't resist.
Oh, damn. I guess it would depend on what I did to get on TMZ. Oftentimes when things stress me out, I'm like, y'all gonna see me on TMZ tonight. I'm telling you. I'll end up on the news. So first thing I would say is don't believe the hype. Maybe, I didn't do it, man.
Yeah, I didn't do it.
Whatever it is you think I did.
Journalist is an asshole. Fuck you.
Right. There was a time in my own kitchen where one of my exes heard like this crash. And I'm like, nothing happened. I'm gonna need a broom though. So even if something happened, nothing happened.
Gotta clean up a mess, but
that's right. So TMZ, that's what I would say is I didn't do nothing.
That's great. Oh man. And so you've been going to some live fights and sports events. What are some venues and other stadiums everyone should go to at least once in their life?
Oh man, that's a great question. There's so many. I just the Saddle Dome Friday night was awesome. Out in Calgary, Alberta, love it.
Nice.
They have a certain respect out here, man. I'm from Toronto, so I'm still getting used to this, but they have a certain respect for like people from Calgary, and they had a Bret Hart like banner hanging from the ceiling, and like that makes sense, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of hockey players. In the U.S., Staples Center is awesome. There's a lot of good ones, man. I think they're all unique. That's what I love about it. They're all architecturally different, so it's pretty cool. I think I have respect for every one I go into just because they all have a different layout and advantages.
Good. And well, when will we ever see you in a martial arts movie or playing a horror creature with your buddy Mick?
Oh my God. That's
done some casual acting, but it's been here and there, like horror anthologies.
Yeah, I'm selective about what I choose to do. My first movie, like I got to work with Linnea Quigley, who played Trash in Return of the Living Dead. Like that's
Terror Tunes 4.
Yeah, so that's a pretty huge, compliment to work with somebody like that. First thing you do. I'm working on something. Hopefully by next year we get it really off the ground with Strawn and Benson, and when you're working with people that worked on Nightmare on Elm Street 3 and 4, that's pretty dope. Blade, Candyman. You can't really go wrong. The practical stuff is gonna be really cool.
All this fun stuff.
I do want more pitches that like excite me though. You know what I mean? Like that make me feel like I have to do this movie.
Not just generic, blah blah blah.
Payday. Yeah, I don't like doing stuff just for the money. I either have to really just want to work with the person involved or some of the people involved, or really believe in the project itself. When I do horror stuff, like we're not aiming for an Oscar here. We know horror movies don't get those, acknowledgments, right? So I do it based on who's working on it, who's creating it, and if they really
background check, have a good track record.
If it's a mad honor to work with those people, I can't turn that down. You know what I mean? That's just another cool thing to say. At the end of the day, on your deathbed, you got to work with these great creative minds, right?
Right.
Don't do it for the money. I do it to be able to say like I did a thing or two. So hopefully there are more diverse things coming in the future.
Yeah, there you go.
Comedy wise, especially.
Yeah, can only hope.
Yeah, because I'm not doing like just horror, you know what I mean? And but as soon as that's the first type of movie you do, everyone thinks that
people like to typecast and then complain, why is so and so typecast? Because you asked me to be.
Right.
Listen to yourself, folks.
You know, so you have to know when to break away from that so you don't end up in that spot permanently.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I mean, aside from that, just more interviews are coming, and relaunching the old show, and then still doing the radio show, and then creating a third. The thing is, when I do launch the old show again, and we do this Inferno Jeopardy with celebrity guests, it's going to be a simulcast. So we're going to do Tattness Radio and the podcast at the same time. So when the radio cuts to music, the pod will still be showing what's still currently happening in studio with the celebrity guests and the whole thing. So it's going to be interesting to balance the two at the same time, but I think it'll give everybody the best of both worlds.
Very lovely. And where can we find you on the social interwebs?
Oh my God. I'm all over Facebook. Keith Tattness McCleary. You can look me up on Facebook, add me. I've still got room. Instagram. I don't really tend to a lot of social media stuff. Everyone knows I'm terrible for that.
At least you're on there.
Yeah, you know,
automatic feed will show a promo that goes to the other ones, so it's good.
I respond to people and whatever. I don't have handlers that my handlers do not touch my social media.
Get your hands off me, baby.
I don't allow it, because I mean, how betrayed do you feel if you think that someone whose work you admire, you think you're talking to them, and you're talking to someone that thinks
I always give that disclaimer, so and so or their social media manager liked my comment. I can't
do that. So if you get a response, it's legitimately me, but that's also the reason why there's not a lot of posting, because I just don't care. Like, it's about the people, not throwing things at a wall and hoping something sticks,
right?
If people reach out, I will, to the best of my ability, get back to them, but I don't post all the time unless there's something worth posting, or just to say I did for the first time in a bit. But I'm terrible at that, so social media at your own risk.
Yep. That being said, guys, keep a lookout. Report the bad guys, report the Nimrods. Leave the rest of us honest working people alone.
The scam artists are everywhere.
Duplicate accounts. That's the person liking you, not me.
Yeah. If you ever get anybody that claims to be me asking y'all to donate to something,
not Keith.
No, it's not. I would never ask y'all for your money. I post about what charities I think are deserving, so you can go track them down yourself and support them, and it means a lot to me, but I would never directly ask y'all for money or whatever. So if you get some nonsense like that with my face attached to it, it's probably based out of one of these, places where they have this whole hub of scam artists that we all know there's several locations that it's where they all originate from. It ain't me. Wouldn't take your money. So
all right. Well, that being said, guys, check out the Tattness podcast. You'll have some fun stories along the way. And thanks for being on here.
Hey, thanks so much for your time, man. I appreciate you.
Anytime. I like to help out all kinds of talents, all kinds of little and small guys.
Follow us on the web on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. The podcast is available on Podbean, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Anchor, Apple, and anywhere else podcasts are available. Feel free to review our show and leave comments on any of those sites. Thanks a million for listening.
It's a jacked up review show. It's a jacked up review show. Jacked up review show. It's a jacked up review show. It's a jacked up review show.